What's up? This is Brian Pfeiffer, marketingmeathead.com. Today I'm going to talk to you about the PPE and the EIDL loan from the SBA and give you a little insight on what's developing. All right, so if you have watched my channel, I'm getting a lot of views on these recent videos, so I figured I'd kind of do a follow-up. There's been some new developments, and I did find a nice piece of documentation that I'm going to go ahead and link below. And this documentation that we're looking at here, this is the basically a breakdown of the important points of each one of the loans here. Now, there's actually about 6 programs. I didn't even know about this debt relief program, but I think that's for people that already have like an SBA loan right now, but most people do not. So I'm assuming that this is not relevant to them. But there's the Express Bridge loan, and then there's the PPE loan, and then there's the EIDL, and then there's the EIDL forgiveness advance. Okay. Now, what the interesting development was, and a couple people alluded to this in the comments recently, they were saying that based on the number of employees, although the law does not say that, we reviewed the law in the last video, I'll put a link for that above. Although we reviewed that, they're saying based on the number of employees, that's how much potentially your grant is going to be, your potential advance, okay? And this makes sense because if you look at the application here, and when you're filling it out, the last question on the second page is number of employees, okay? And it did kind of clue me in, like, when I filled this out the first time, I was like, why are they asking for the number of employees? It doesn't say anything besides you have to be under 500 employees in order to potentially qualify for this EIDL loan. And I was like, okay, that's kind of strange. But here is the verdict from what a lot of people are saying. Now, I did some Google searching, and I actually looked around and looked for the documentation that actually says this. But I couldn't find anything like legit. I read a bunch of the stuff on the Treasury page. I went to the SBA. I read through their stuff. A lot of different things. You want to follow maybe Twitter, the SBA on Twitter. They have some updates on there as well. And that's kind of what led me to this spreadsheet that I found was really useful. So if you guys have any questions, this tells all the deals of the loans, like the interest rate, how long it can be. There's a lot of stuff that it goes over that. It's just kind of a cheat sheet, okay? Instead of having to read that like massive 100-page bill and whatnot that they wrote into law. But this gives the details here. Now, again, this does not say anything about the number of employees. I think this is just kind of an unwritten rule that we're finding here out as we go along. But let's take a few things into consideration, okay? The stimulus was passed very quickly. It was written very quickly, I'm sure. I don't even know how they could produce something of that length in terms of the magnitude of this stimulus package in such a small amount of time, and then get it through two legal systems, which the Senate and then the House of Representatives, and then over to Trump, and then he signs off on it into law. And it all happened very quickly. So I'm sure the SBA, if anything, was inundated with what they were asked to do. Okay, I was telling my mom this. I said, hey, listen, what do you think? Now there's like millions of businesses, millions, because they made this so that any Uber driver or Lyft driver or barber or beauty salon 1099 could jump in and try to get this grant. What do you think the people that work at this SBA office are thinking right now? Okay, do you think they mysteriously were able to just hire like 15,000 employees to handle the kind of volume that they're getting right now? It's not possible, okay? So I think they went ahead and automated the process to get these EIDL grants out. That's why you had to put in your account number and your routing number. I think they're going to give people based on the amount of employees they have. So, for example, if you put down that you have 4 employees in good faith, they're going to go ahead and probably give you $4,000. That's my guess. Again, this is all kind of like assumed right now. Nobody knows if this is really going to happen, but this is what people are talking about online, and I just wanted to give an update for my channel for those of you who follow me and don't maybe follow somebody else that's talking about this. I think it's good information. So if you were only putting one person down and that's truthfully what you had, you might be looking at a $1,000 grant, which you might not have to pay back. It might be a smaller loan type of thing. I only had 4 employees that I put down, but in reality, I don't even have 4 because I have I did a little research, and one of my employees is kind of like abroad, so she wouldn't count. And then my other guy, I kind of 1099 him, so he doesn't really count. So technically, I'm probably more like 1 or 2 employees, depending on how I do my taxes this year, which I haven't even filed yet, which could be another issue. So there's a lot of issues here because they allowed us to file an extension which you can file an extension anyway, and I had filed an extension prior to everything that's going on here. So I don't have my 2019 taxes. I only got 2018, back in 2017 as well. And that could be an issue when I go to get one of these loans. So there's a lot of things, a lot of factors here. Keep in mind the SBA office is probably inundated. I did actually email my Congress woman, Jackie Rosen, just to kind of test it out, test the waters. And I sent them an email. I gave them my 2 applications because I have 2 LLCs. And they actually replied the next day, and they said, yeah, we'll look into it, see what we can do. And I'm sure they just were like, yeah, whatever. But I did actually email my Congress woman, and she did reply. So someone in her office replied. It probably wasn't her, but somebody in her office, an assistant or whatever. But I found that pretty funny. I would say at this point, guys, I hear there's going to be something happening as early as Thursday or Friday this week as far as some of these grants getting distributed. So let's give it some time. Let's give the SBA a little bit of a chance to maybe get caught up here, at least get their systems in place, and then we'll see what happens. Now, if this becomes something like a week from now, like next Tuesday, even a following week, and we still don't have any kind of signs of like anybody getting their checks or whatever, then we might have to start hitting up our Congress people and whatnot and seeing if we can get them to push the envelope a little bit. But for right now, I say let's give the SBA a chance to get some stuff out this week. I will keep everybody updated and let you know if I get anything, and then if you could leave me a comment below and just let me know if you've gotten anything yet. I would appreciate that. Now, I also did apply for a PPE loan, and this I had to contact my local bank. And this was a little bit of a headache. The guy hit me back Friday, hit me back again Monday, and then he said, okay, you can go ahead and apply online. So they got some kind of an online process now at my local bank. And then I went and filled out the application, and ironically, one of the, or a couple of the questions that they're asking, it doesn't work. The application doesn't work. There's a faulty something in the code, and there's something wrong. But I clicked finish, and it seemed like it went through. I don't know if it really went through or not. But I hit up the guy, and I say, listen, there's something wrong with your form. He's like, just fill it out. We'll figure it out. I'm like, okay, dude. So I filled it out. We'll see what happens with that. Another interesting situation, those have to be like employees. So if you're a single entity, like an LLC with a 1099, you 1099 yourself, then you'd be the only employee, technically, that you would be able to get the PPE loan for. So that's probably going to be my case. But again, I'm in a tight situation depending on how long this goes. Anything I can get, either grant or loan-wise, I'm going to take. And then worst case scenario, I just pay it back if I don't need it. I don't see why not. But I'd rather have the money and have it available just in case I do need it and this goes longer than I expect it to. Then, that's the case. So if I could, my best piece of advice to close out today's video is if you get an opportunity to get the loan, take the loan, get the max you can. Worst case scenario, you just pay it back early. Doesn't hurt anybody, and at the end of the day, you're not paying a lot of interest anyway, so what's the big deal? Hope you guys enjoyed today's video and got some out of it. I would appreciate a comment below. I look forward to seeing those comments and getting everybody's input on this developing story. We'll talk to you soon. I'm the Marketing Meathead. Talk to you later. Bye.